Meh for the skiers, fui for the snowmobilers. That's the way the first part of February is shaping up. I'm meteorologist Don Paul. Welcome to my podcast, Don Paul's Bits of Blather on Weather, Climate, and some Humor. Well, here in Western New York, in addition to one brutal week of lake effect snow, it has been an exceptionally cloudy cold weather season, which is typically a cloudy season for the eastern end of the Great Lakes, but it has been especially so this year. And it does get people's morale down, true enough, but it still beats the extremes which can occur with greater frequency and greater threats to life and property in other parts of the country. And this start to February will be a blend of what we've already had for much except for one brutal week of January. Lots of clouds and temperatures running above average. Not so much above average that it's going to feel warm out. The average high at this time of the year for Buffalo is 31, and the average low is 18. And we will have temperatures generally above those thresholds for at least 10 days. In fact, a lot of cloud cover will continue to persist. Might be a couple of sunny breaks breaking through a lot of clouds on Wednesday, but then clouds prevail Thursday and Friday. Here's a snippet of good news for the weekend. Canadian high pressure, a dry air mass, will bring abundant sunshine Saturday and Sunday. We haven't seen that around here lately, with a northeast flow keeping temperatures cooler, but still above average, and nighttime low temperatures cold enough so that the ski resorts so equipped can make some new snow. You're not going to find fresh powder out there, but ski conditions are going to be difficult to maintain at peak quality with this kind of a pattern because it's going to be so very dry next week too. No major precipitation is in sight. We may get a few rain and wet snow showers on Thursday, and we may see some limited precipitation for a day or two next week, but at this early juncture, nothing significant is lined up between today and late next week, which means what snow there is on the slopes is going to be worn, and snow making is going to be a must, but it's going to be hard to accomplish next week, with temperatures next week averaging in the 40s. A couple of days later in the week, we may get daytime highs near 50. As for snowmobilers, I think if you've been listening this far, you already know you're plumb out of luck. I'm sure a few of you got in some good times during the lake effect week in January, but nothing like that is in sight. And by in sight, I mean out to about the 14th or the 15th of the month. There are signs in what we call model ensembles, that is, multiple runs of the models, 51 runs of the European model, to look at the upper air pattern toward the 14th or the 15th. There are signs of a ridge of high pressure stacking up over Western North America all the way up into Alaska. If that in fact occurs with enough amplitude, it will force the polar jet stream to take a dive back to the south into the plains, the Midwest, the Great Lakes, and bring at least seasonably cold air back by the middle of the month. No way to tell if that will be accompanied by snow or lake effect snow. It's just not something we can do more than 2 weeks in advance. Precipitation is not our strong point in the extended range. We do better with temperatures. The other big weather story nowhere near Western New York will be two atmospheric rivers likely to set up over the Pacific, bringing flooding rains to parts of the West. First, Northern California, heavily targeted. That means tremendous snows in the Sierra, but too much rain. And then flooding rains getting into Southern California. The peak time period for the impacts from these Pacific storms riding through these atmospheric rivers will be between February 4th and February 10th. Currently looking to be an ominous period for the state of California and other parts of the West. These storms, as they move inland, should bring some more abundant snow into the Rocky ski resorts, but we are a little more concerned with the threats to life and property posed by excess rainfall. So that's the big picture. Not much winter in the east, and especially here in Western New York, showing up in the next couple of weeks. Thanks for listening this far. Please share, please follow. And again, this podcast is now available on virtually every major platform. If you don't like Spotify, just type in the name of the podcast, Don Paul's Bits o' Blather, into the search window on the podcast you favor, and there I'll be. Talk to you very soon.